Hello, everyone. Welcome to In the Know with Dr. Aidoo. I hope you're well. I hope you had a wonderful break and holiday. Today, I'm coming with another interview, and I'm really excited because I get to speak with Professor Ed Hoganson. He's an adjunct faculty member in the TEM program, but he's also the executive vice president and many other things at Crestline Hotels and Resorts. So let's go meet Professor Hoganson. Hello, Professor Hoganson. How are you?
Hello, Dr.
How,
Aidoo. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on.
so I have to give you one of these so it doesn't feel like I'm picking favorites. uh, so as I said, you are an adjunct faculty member in the TEM program, which is one of the programs in our school. Could you tell us a little bit more about that role?
Yeah, thank you again. So adjunct faculty is probably a really cool way of saying that I don't work at the university because the faculty that work there, that is a real job. Teaching full time, that's a lot of work and everything. I have the pleasure of getting on campus once a week.
Mhm.
And I teach tour 214, which is Introduction to Accounting and
Right.
Finance. So the Introduction to Accounting puts like most of the students to sleep right away. So my job is basically to energize them, get them excited about accounting uh,
Right.
on a late Monday night. But
Oh,
it's
wow.
been a fantastic class. We just had our last class of the semester last night. We finished up with some games and some swag. And again, the students in the class did a great job for the semester, so very pleased with it.
Okay, so way to go for making the rest of us look lame. That's not cool. We need swag. I better look for some swag
Uh,
next semester.
So
Uh,
I have a benefit again. So my real job is with the company you mentioned, Crestline Hotels.
right.
We're located in Old Town Fairfax, so right down the street,
Okay.
in the same building as a very nice pizza joint. So kind of I try to describe the office, and the students don't get it, and I tell them it's on top of the pizza place, and they get it.
Yeah.
Uh, so we're very close to campus, but being in the industry gives me a unique perspective, and I get to see kind of some of the industry trends, changes, and demands in the hospitality sector, and it
Right.
also gives me access to swag. So
Yes.
our business partners like Hilton and Hyatt and Marriott, they'll give me different kind of their conferences or meetings. I'll be able to pick up some notepads or backpacks or T-shirts and things like that. So I bring those in, and for the class, then the students get they're a beneficiary of that. So it works out
Right.
well.
Right. Well, cool. And I know that that is definitely one thing that our school does well with, which is our interaction with the industry and our partnerships with, our industry colleagues and, having them either teach. We have a lot of guest speakers come in, and I know that that enriches our students' experience in the course or in the, the different courses they take. I was giving you a hard time because when I was trying to fit all your titles on my little PowerPoint, there was no space. So can you expand a little bit more what it is that you do at Crestline
Yeah,
Hotel
so
Resort?
starting with kind of the company, Crestline Hotels, we manage hotels around the
Okay.
country. And we have a nationwide footprint from Seattle to San Diego on the West Coast and from Portland, Maine to Miami on the East Coast. But
Mm-hmm.
again, we're based here in Old Town Fairfax.
Mm-hmm.
We have about 6,000 employees, about 130 hotels. Our hotels that we manage are hotels like a Residence Inn in Manassas,
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix Park, a boutique hotel in DC, a large Westin at National Harbor. So those kinds of independent, select service, and full service hotels.
Okay.
Mostly branded under Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt, but also some very cool independent boutique properties.
Okay.
And my role in the company is the chief financial officer and chief investment officer. So basically, I'm responsible for money,
Mm-hmm.
which I think can make me the fall guy at different times if things aren't going well. But that includes then a kind of accounting and finance for the company.
Right. And I know the course that you teach, we got a lot of feedback from students, a few years ago, which is why we created it, where they were telling us that it was something that they needed as they went and did practicums and internships. They were finding it was an area they needed some exposure to. So thank you so much for taking
I,
that on.
that's great to hear. I think a lot of the students, at least when they start, they do not know or do not think they need this exposure. It's like dragging them, kicking and screaming, but we have a good time.
Great. So, to why we are here chatting this afternoon, evening, there is a study of abroad program happening in Cancun, and I already told you how jealous I am about not being a part of it. But can you share some details about this program?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. So the class I teach right now, again, it's accounting, which is a lot of Excel spreadsheets, a lot of numbers, financial projections. So the summer course is like that, but not at all. It is completely different.
Okay.
We're very excited to be working with a couple of the business partners that you mentioned with
Mm-hmm.
to bring us an opportunity to go to, so we're going to start in Cancun and spend 4 days at a company called Playa Hotels. It's also based here in Fairfax.
Mm-hmm.
They own all-inclusive resorts,
Okay.
and we're going to spend 4 days at one of their hotels, the Wyndham Grand in Cancun. And
Mm-hmm.
then we'll go about an hour and a half, 2 hours south to Riviera Maya
Okay.
and spend another 3 days, close to 4 days, at a Barcelo hotel, which is a Spanish brand. Again,
Okay.
all-inclusive resort. And all-inclusive means what it says. It's all-inclusive. So
Yeah.
the students will have all their breakfast, lunches, snacks, dinners taken care of. They could be hobbits and have like 3 meals for breakfast and they'll all taken care of.
Oh, wow.
They will not go hungry.
Right.
But it's a program that really kind of explore kind of the all-inclusive business. And we're going to be focusing on that Mexican region
Mm-hmm.
and talk about a lot of the things, Dr. Aidoo, that you cover, which is the ecotourism aspect,
Right.
the
Right.
socioeconomic development
Mm-hmm.
component, sustainable tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And there are areas that they do well and areas probably they could do better at, and we'll
Right.
explore all of that. And getting into kind of why even you're going back probably about 3 decades ago, where they didn't have all these resorts there and why
Right.
the Mexican government, public policy wanted to bring them in,
Mm-hmm.
and what that's done for the region. And there are pros and cons. And so we will go into some of that. Um, the large focus, though, will be on the operations of these all-inclusive resorts. And so students, when they're there, will actually spend time rotating through different departments at the
Oh, wow.
all-inclusive resort. So they're going to spend
Yes.
time at the front desk with kind of the employees of the resort,
Yeah.
saying, here's what it's like to check people in, and here's what it's like to feel the guest complaint when their room isn't ready, So give
Yes.
them a little bit of exposure to that. And
Right.
then, they'll spend a couple hours there, and then they're going to go spend a couple hours working in the spa. And here's what it's like to, have to figure out the scheduling of different treatments or putting the towels in and turning down the music or something like that.
Right.
It's
Right.
but
Right.
go through all the different departments to give them just a sense of the actual business.
Mm.
And then in the evenings, we'll basically be doing recaps and talking about, okay, what did you learn? Here are some of the lessons. What do you think about this business model? Here are some of the kind of ancillary revenues that they're trying to get, and kind of go through the business of the all-inclusive resorts from a classroom setting as well. So they get both hands-on exposure as well as some of the academic kind of reasons or focus as to why this is
Right.
all happening.
Right. So this is a really massive experience where they're on the ground, figuring it out.
It it
Um,
it's a very brief period, so we got a lot to cover. So yes, it's intensive. We'll do a couple classes in Fairfax before we go down, just kind of to get the
right.
class together. But then yeah, it's intensive, but we're still gonna carve out part of the time to kind of understand why people are going to Cancun, is to go to some of the other destinations, or which includes Tulum, a historic destination with
Right.
Mayan ruins. And so we'll spend a morning there. We're also going to do an ecotourism kind of destination. So the students will be able to basically kind of kayak down the river and
Oh,
see kind of
yeah.
the jungle, the local flora and fauna, which is one of the reasons people go to Cancun, to be
Yes,
able to see that and then go snorkeling and see kind of the tropical fish. And so they'll get exposure to that too. So it's not all work, but even that part is still research, is to understanding the market.
absolutely. That sounds like fun. Can I sign up for this class? Okay.
Again, with your background and all this, you could be the teacher, the co-teacher, and this will be awesome.
So I will audit the class so I don't have to do the classwork part of things. I just want to have the fun part. So what kind of requirements do students who want to sign up for this class need to, meet? Are there classes they should have taken before? Are there prerequisites? All that um
So,
part of.
so the one strict requirement is the students need to be 18 or older.
Okay.
And that's a requirement of the resorts.
Yes.
So they're not kid-friendly resorts. After that, there is no firm requirement.
Okay.
So Spanish is not a requirement.
Good.
All the class will be done in English, and
Mhm.
the resorts, kind of all of the staff there will be bilingual. And so they'll have no problem kind of in the training or going through the different rotations in English. And it is really designed for people that want to understand or experience any number of things. One, just kind of a different culture.
Right.
And even though you're not immersed in Mexico or Mexican culture, you are in Mexico.
Right.
Uh, and contrary to some Americans' opinion, Cancun is not part of the US. Okay, to be clear, you do need a
Oh,
passport.
that.
Uh,
Yes.
um, and so you'll get that exposure,
Right.
understand the all-inclusive model, which does not exist very much or very, very rarely, I'd say, in the US. And so
Right.
why is it successful in Mexico, in the Dominican Republic, in Jamaica, which could be like future years, classes, as opposed to why it's not successful in the US. So talk about some of the business dynamics, and then
Hmm.
also just to understand kind of that tourism cultural component, including the experience of working in a resort. And it for some of the students, they may already be working, have some of that experience. For
Right.
others, this could be kind of a whole news like, wow, this is awesome. I really want to work in hotels, or I
Right.
really like kind of the banquet stuff and I want to work in catering.
Right.
And when I was down there, I got to help with kind of the wedding planning, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. I don't want to do this.
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
but again, to give the students an opportunity to see different parts of the business.
And I think, even for students who may already have the experience, like you're saying, it's not the same as it's here, right? That what you're going to experience in Cancun is not what is here. And so, even if you have had that experience, to go see how it's done in a very different country, where the cultural components, how do those interplay with your service provision, I think will be really, really cool. Um,
And
I
again, to touch on a lot of the things you did, which touched on sustainability,
right.
which is a challenge. And honestly, some markets like Costa Rica have done it much, much better
Mm-hmm.
than other
Mm-hmm.
markets like Cancun.
Right.
And in Riviera Maya, the second part of it, they are now, I think, addressing and doing much better at it than the Cancun that's just a couple hours north.
Right.
And they're learning from that. And so that those be, again, other topics we cover. The cultural side, so not the cultural tourism, but the cultural side of being behind the desk,
Right.
working with colleagues now that are from Mexico or other parts of the world, and facing the North American travelers that are coming in.
Yes.
That could
Yes.
also be very interesting experience.
Yes. I can't wait to hear what students have to say when they get back, because you're right. That's gonna be different. And I know that students have to look out on the global education website for some details, right?
Yeah, so the GEO office, the Global Education Office, has been very helpful. A great team
Right.
there. And they got their webossite is studyabroad.gmu.edu.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go in and they kind of basically look down and kind of pick your region or pick the area, and it's now listed there.
Mm-hmm.
I've done the full syllabus, and I think that's all uploaded. They have not
Right.
uploaded the pricing yet. I think the administration is still trying to figure out, some details or something like that. But my
Okay.
understand the full pricing will be, finalized soon,
Right.
so they can see that. But because of our partnerships with these resorts that are helping us, I think it will be a very attractive, very competitive pricing.
I agree. I agree. Um, so I was wondering if you could share just in general why such experiences are important for our students, right? So obviously you're teaching a class here, like you said, and you said it's kind of like it, but not. Right.
It is
Um,
exactly not like it. So
right,
I don't want to scare my current students off. They're, tired of doing their Excel spreadsheets and learning to balance sheets
right,
and stuff like that. No,
right,
it is not like that.
right. So
Um,
if we're trying to make this case why this matters, and especially in a program like ours, even more so, I think, because
mhm.
this is exactly what we talk about. But to have this opportunity now to go and more or less live it in an intensive, shortened version, but still an experience nonetheless. What would be some of the benefits you would share?
Yeah, so I think, again, my nearly unbiased opinion, I think there are a lot of benefits. One, you get 3 credits and effectively a week.
Okay.
So from an academic perspective, that's very helpful kind of in your program. Two,
Right.
it gives you, I think, kind of the benefits, think of it as a practicum in a very condensed period where you're going to get
Right.
exposure to a lot of different departments. And rather than focusing and spending a whole semester or a summer working kind of doing one thing,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be a whirlwind tour, and you'll be able to see housekeeping, food and beverage,
Right.
the events, the catering, the sales, the revenue management, all of that in 1 week time. And
Right.
it gives kind of that initial exposure to the students to be able to say, wow, I didn't even know this part of the business existed.
Yeah.
Or wow, this is something that I knew but didn't know was like that when you actually get involved. And it'll give them, I think, a terrific exposure to the entire business. And then third is the whole cultural aspect, which is this is not taking place in, Fairfax. This is taking
Right.
place in a different country, which has a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother level of complexity and a whole nother level of excitement, where
Mm-hmm.
you can go now to see again Tulum, which is, a global destination
Yeah.
for kind of a Mayan ruins that is very incredible. And we'll have a private tour, kind of just with the class of that kind of experience, which I think will be fantastic.
I agree. And as I have already stated many times, I'm jealous. So definitely a great opportunity for our students. We really are encouraging you students, think about it because the benefits are multi-level, multifaceted. I cannot have you though on this podcast and not try to glean from your experience for our students. You've been in this industry for a while, um, seen many aspects of it. And the question for our students, and it's not just TEM students, right? In this case, I'm asking for all our students in our school. As an industry executive, what piece of advice would you give to them as they're going through the process, taking their classes, taking advantage of opportunities like you're offering, and are getting ready for their future careers?
Mhm.
What piece of advice would you
So,
give?
I'm going to plagiarize,
Okay.
because I just had a panel in my class last week where I brought in some junior kind of managers, so out of school over the last 5 years. That included somebody from Hilton, somebody from Choice, somebody from Playa Hotels, the resort
Mm-hmm.
ownership group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, had somebody from one of the bigger catering companies in the area, and asked them the same question. And I thought their answers were great. So I want
Okay.
to kind of copy or duplicate some of their answers. Um,
Right.
one of them was networking, and
Mm.
use your time in the university it's really hard to put yourself out there and try to network.
Right.
And that means networking with your classmates, getting to know your classmates who right now, they're just students and they're not gonna, can't help you. In the future, they're
Yes.
going places just like all the other students you are,
Yeah.
and they're going to be kind of peers and colleagues that can help you, help them, help you, and all of you kind of moving up together. So stay connected and build those relationships with your fellow students and that
Okay.
networking.
Mhm.
Network with your faculty. You know, the
Mhm.
faculty in the adjuncts, one of they have connections. And so
Yeah.
don't be afraid of asking kind of the faculty for, hey, I need an internship. I need help. I can't find it. Or, yeah, this is what I'm interested in. Do you have any advice? Because
Mhm.
the faculty, they do have advice. And from the faculty I've met, we like to talk. So can ask that. For my class, kind of the third item I would say
Mhm.
is learn Excel. And
Yes.
uh, I kind of throughout the industry and other industries, it's just a very helpful tool. And a
Okay.
lot of students come in and they have the fear of it, and it's not to be afraid of. And you can watch YouTube videos and learn it, but spend time on that.
Yeah.
Uh, the fourth piece of advice I'd probably say is GPA. Don't stress about it. Which coming from a
Okay.
faculty member may be a little bit odd and the other, may not be good, but instead, I'd say focus on the networking
Mhm.
and focus on learning the material rather than the GPA. I've had students before that they're studying for the test or they're studying for the grade or they're
Right.
using Chat GPT to copy
Mhm.
the answers for the homework, but they're not then understanding it.
Right.
And it's much more valuable for the long term to get to have the understanding, and maybe you get your
Absolutely.
grade isn't quite as good, but honestly, I think kind of the GPA coming out of it is not as important as your ability to understand some of the key concepts. So it's that understanding, learning, networking that's more critical than getting stressed about the GPA.
So I'm not gonna lie. When you said GPA, I had a momentary shock, but I'm glad you clarified what you're saying, which is it's about the knowledge acquisition, and I totally agree with that. That's the approach I go with my students. You need to own the knowledge for yourself and not regurgitate what I'm telling you, because that is very short lived.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The last piece of advice that I wouldn't have thought of probably on my own, but came up and I thought really resonated
Mm-hmm.
was this concept that if you're in a meeting, if
Mm-hmm.
you're in a presentation, if you're at George Mason, if
Mm-hmm.
if you're in the room, you deserve to be there. So
Oh,
have the confidence in yourself, and a number kind of for the students to realize that being in kind of one of the best institutions in the state and kind of the region, the country, it's you've done a lot to get here. And when you get
yeah.
hired, when you get to the interviews or all that, you deserve to be there. Do not feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say, or I don't know. No, you have a lot to offer, and take pride in that, and go in with a positive attitude.
I think that is so very important. You belong there.
Yes.
Um, Professor Hoganson, thank you so much. This has been very informative. Students, I don't know what more you want to hear. This is a
Well,
great opportunity.
I got a
Yes.
question for you before we drop off.
Okay.
I want to hear the story of the shoes. The shoes in your backdrop, kind of on your bookcase. There's got to
Oh
be
no.
something there. Yeah, they are all there. Every time I look at your podcast, they're there. I don't know if they're like actually moving. You got a different shoe lined up in a different
No,
place, but
no.
it's quite a collection.
It is quite a collection. Anyone that knows me a little bit more knows I love office knickknacks. So these shoes are actually tape dispensers.
Ah, all
So
right.
you know
Not,
how they say
I would
those
not
who
have thought that.
can't do teach. Well, just because I have built-in height, I
Uh-huh.
really cannot walk in very high
Okay.
heeled shoes. So I figured I would put them on
No,
my um
all right.
shelf. So their tape dispensers.
So that's your story. I'll go with it for now, but when I see you wearing a pair of shoes like that, I'll know you're wearing your tape dispensers. Excellent.
Exactly.
Well,
Oh, okay. Now I'm stumped in my own interview. But do you have any final words that you want to give out? So students, I mean, I think you have said it all, but
I,
if you have one more thing to say.
No, I just want to say again, thank you very much, Mina, for having me on the podcast. I
Absolutely.
want to wish you kind of the best getting through the finals because just as students are struggling, I know it's
Yes.
also very hard for faculty to finish all the grading, finish all the final exam preps and everything else. So best of luck to you and to all the students on kind of the finals. And I hope to see the students in Cancun and Riviera Maya. And you are
Right.
always welcome to be a faculty on such an excursion. It would be
Do
awesome.
not tempt me, Professor Hoganson, because I might just take you up on it. But students, really, I don't know what more to say. This, I think, is an opportunity that you should really think about taking advantage of. Again, you can go on studyabroad.gmu.edu, look up this program, so it will be under Cancun, and there'll be more details. Professor Hoganson already has the syllabus, so you already know what you're gonna be working with and on. So please take advantage of that. But as he said, as a fellow faculty member, I'm joining in to say all the best with the final couple of weeks as you're finishing up projects and final exams. Give it your best shot. You have put in the work up until now. Let's finish strong, everybody. And thank you so much. Thank you again, Professor Hoganson.
Oh, I
Have a
got one
good
last
one.
thing. Have you
Oh,
ever had somebody like strip on your show?
oh Lord.
Gotta spice it
There is
up a little bit.
there is Superman.
There you
Lord,
go.
Superman.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. All right.
Bye.
Bye.